Hey guys, it's CC here. Just wanted to give you a very quick update on developments. So firstly, we're really pleased that the liquid loans audit has concluded. So we're just now waiting for the final report from the folks over at Halborn. Really happy with how that's gone. Those guys are really professional, have been fantastic in terms of reviewing the code, remembering that it is a smart contract audit. We're really happy with the outcome, and we are expecting a final report from them shortly. Secondly, we've obviously started the process with Fetch as well. So Fetch, the Oracle service, that's currently under review. So the auditors are actually looking at the contracts now. Again, we're hoping that in the next couple of weeks we'll have that concluded. There was something that did happen today. It was just a situation that arose on testnet that I think it's important that the community understands the implications of this. So a couple of things to point out. We noticed that someone had fed a malicious price into the Oracle service itself. So Fetch has ingested a price. A couple of things to point out there is we are on testnet. Potentially this price was a reasonable price, although typically when you see such an outrageous price for PLS, you kind of know that there's something malicious in that intent. What that effectively did is it triggered a whole bunch of liquidations. And the reason behind that is, whilst Fetch is working as expected, and we're really happy with the way that Fetch is working and feeding in the price, there's a number of infrastructure elements that haven't been fully developed yet. And one of those is what we call a disputes value monitor. And so typically what happens there is, if somebody submits a nefarious price or a malicious price, then typically what happens is the dispute values monitor will actually reject that. So if it is an outrageous price, there is a system that enables us to monitor that closely and reject that. Now, that's still in development, right? So it's not something that's currently available. And whilst we're really happy with what we've been able to use from the Tellor system, this particular monitor wasn't available. And there's a number of other things that we're developing that isn't actually part of the Tellor suite. One of those things that we will be developing is a front end to enable the broader community to actually interact with Fetch, particularly around staking and unstaking Fetch tokens. So that's currently not really available on Tellor, as at least not a front end that enables that for the broader community. So we are building that out. But back to the situation that arose today. As I said, a malicious price was fed into the Oracle service. Because we're still building the dispute values monitor, we weren't able to dispute the price. And so what happens in that situation, if you don't dispute, the price gets ingested by the Oracle. So the Oracle's working exactly as we'd expected, as is liquid loans. So the fact that the price has come in, it's been ingested by the Oracle, it's been fed through to liquid loans. Effectively, what then occurs is that if the price it does look malicious, then liquid loans will also have a look at that price and then potentially revert to the backup Oracle. Now, all of this occurred on the Pulse die pair and again on testnet, right? So this is all a testnet environment, and we are expecting some price movement, but not a fed-in price using the Oracle service that was intended to be malicious. We weren't expecting that, but when it did come through, it also, as a consequence, a third party has created what's called a flash loan bot. And so typically what happens there is if prices move a certain way, it automatically triggers the flash loan. That can only occur on certain dexes. And typically what happens in that situation is the flash loan triggers. It creates a situation where effectively because the price of Pulse had been manipulated to such an extent, it actually created a whole range of liquidations. So all of the vaults were redeemed against. So even if you weren't at a liquidation level, they were all redeemed against. And fundamentally, all the vaults were closed. Now, liquid loans behaved exactly as expected. Fetch worked exactly as expected. What we weren't expecting was someone to feed in a malicious price. And whilst we're still developing the dispute values monitor, this slipped through the net, and consequently it created all this cascade of events. Now, on one level, you think, oh my goodness, how can this happen? But on the other level, it's like, Guys, this is fantastic. We're really pleased that this has occurred, because it actually means there's a lot more emphasis that we're placing on the disputing mechanism and the monitoring tools that we're building. And we're actually going to make this available to other developers so that they can monitor prices as well. But fundamentally, it has highlighted one of the issues that we've seen happen in the past, where unfortunately, there can be people that intentionally go in and fabricate these situations to their benefit. And in this case, the eventual outcome was, unfortunately, all the vaults were redeemed against, and the price that was fed through the Oracle was ingested, and ultimately the outcome of that was that the vaults were effectively closed. Now, obviously, we're going to resolve that. The fact that we have this dispute values monitor that we're building, the infrastructure is still not there yet, but we are working on that. We're really, really grateful that this has occurred on testnet. And more importantly, it is something that we would be planning to test in any case. It's just happened a lot sooner than what we had anticipated. And because we didn't have the dispute monitor up and running, we weren't able to dispute that particular price. Again, rest assured, Liquid Loans is working exactly as we'd expect. The Oracle service, incidentally, is also working exactly as we'd expect. What we weren't expecting was a malicious price to come in. And the fact that we don't have the dispute monitor up and running, we weren't able to capture that within that 15-minute window that we have set up. Hopefully, folks, that's helped to explain the current situation. We obviously will be continuing to develop those sort of monitoring tools. And we're very excited that, we are building a whole bunch of other tools that currently don't exist even on Tellor. So some of these things I think Nick Fett has had a look at and is really keen to look at for the Tellor version as well. But fundamentally, what we're doing at the moment is still building some of that infrastructure. And whilst the smart contracts are being reviewed and audited as we speak, we're not expecting that this is going to delay the launch. It just means that some of those tools that we would normally use for ourselves and perhaps some other development teams, they won't be available to a little bit later. But rest assured that this is something that we'll be dealing with prior to launching on mainnet.